Hello everyone. Before we begin today's video, I need your help. We've noticed that the channel is losing traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can help us. It's quick, free, and allow us to continue bringing you great content. Your support means everything. Let us keep this channel growing collectively. Thank you very much. Now let's begin the video.
Everyone says I'm lucky. Just a plumber married to Amelia, the powerful woman behind a group. But no one knows that every night, the ambiguous sounds from our bedroom are just the background. While I squat in the living room, smoking, it wasn't until Charlie lifted that silver pendant and smirked at me that I pressed the emergency police button on the security panel. 3 days ago, I had slipped the cancer diagnosis into his suit pocket myself. And now, Amelia was leading the police straight into his villa. Pills scattered across the floor, and the wedding ring she once gave me lay among them. My wife, Amelia, had been fooling around with a young guy lately. His name's Charlie, a fresh college graduate, an intern at her company. Good looking. Exactly her type. She's always had her flings. But this time, it was different. She didn't bring him home. Bought him an apartment instead. That meant Charlie wasn't just a bedmate. The first time I saw Charlie was at my own wedding anniversary. That morning, the headaches came. Sharp, unbearable. At the hospital, the doctor said I probably wouldn't survive the winter. I didn't panic. I'd already accepted death. But I still had one last thing to do. The doctor mentioned an imported drug, B. That could extend my life. But it was expensive. Too expensive. I texted Amelia. Can I borrow some money? 2 hours later she replied. Come to the company. While waiting for her, a young man walked in. People called him Assistant Charlie. I recognized him instantly. He looked a lot like me in my 20s. When our eyes met, he seemed startled, then asked, You're Amelia's husband? I nodded. Charlie forced a smile. You look kind of worn out. Not sleeping well lately? I caught my reflection. Sunken eyes, messy hair. A dying man facing a boy in his prime. He poured me tea, then casually said, Funny thing, Amelia told me once, if I ever need anything, she'd drop everything for me. I thought she treated all her loved ones like that. He smiled, dimples deep. A mirror of who I used to be. Amelia had countless lovers. Sometimes 2 or 3 in one night. I never reacted. She never got attached. But Charlie was different. She lived with him. Protected him openly. Said he made her heart race again. I forced a smile. Then you'd better work hard. Become someone truly close to her. His face darkened. He snapped. You only met her first. Look at yourself. Do you really think you can win against me? She even spent her birthday with me. A coworker tried to calm him down. But Charlie shook him off, knocking over the hot tea. It splashed across my hand. Searing, but I didn't even flinch. I had bigger plans than pain. The sound of high heels echoed through the room. It was Amelia. Her footsteps grew louder, closer. When she reached the door, I caught that familiar scent of perfume. The exact same one Charlie wore. I turned my head and saw her. Makeup flawless. Tailored suit hugging every curve. But her eyes didn't even glance at me. She went straight to Charlie, who was clutching his burned hand. Her voice rose sharply. Who hurt him? No one in the lounge dared to speak. I did, I said. My coworker beside me turned pale. Amelia shot me a cold look and sneered. So, you came here to pick a fight today? Then she gently held Charlie's hand. Blew softly on the burn. Her eyes full of tenderness. There it was. The way she treated Charlie was unlike anyone else. I lowered my gaze. Lend me 1 million, I said. The monthly allowance I give you isn't enough? She mocked. Or are you secretly supporting someone too? Her words stung like salt in a wound. But I needed the money. I met her eyes. All I saw was ridicule. Our prenup still counts, right? I asked. Back when we married, our deal was simple. She got my body, I got her money. She let out a cold laugh. You'll get the money. But first, apologize to Charlie. Amelia knew me too well. Knew I was proud. Too proud for my own good. She used to mock me for it. You're too noble. One day, it'll eat you alive. Now she was trying to buy my pride. I clenched my fists. then released them. The headache struck again, sharp, throbbing. I forced myself to stay calm. Forget it, I said. My life's worthless anyway. Dying sooner or later doesn't change much. If anything, I can speed it up. I stood to leave. Ash, wait, Amelia called out. I turned back. Met her reddened eyes. Alexander, do you know what day it is today? Of course, I replied. But as I looked at her snuggled in Charlie's arms, nausea rose in my throat. I flashed her a bright smile. Forgot. On my way out of the company, I bit down on the pain, thinking darkly. Amelia, if you knew I was dying, would you regret what you did today? I stumbled home, collapsing at the door, crawled to find the painkillers, swallowed the max dose, curled up on the bed. The pills barely dulled the pain. Cold sweat soaked my forehead. I popped a few sedatives. Slowly, I drifted to sleep. I dreamed of a time long ago. Back in college, Amelia was the rich heiress, surrounded by light and envy. And I, just the housekeeper's son. We loved each other in secret. Loved fiercely. On her birthday that year, she held my hand proudly. Walked into her party as if declaring war. With a radiant smile, she introduced me. This is my boyfriend. To reassure me, she traced tiny circles on my palm. A teasing, ticklish gesture. I ignored the fury in her parents' eyes. And the snickers from the crowd. Inside, I made a silent vow. Amelia, I'll protect you for life. That night, she smiled nonstop. Until a friend of hers walked over and spat out words like knives. Gold digger. Pathetic. She tilted her head and asked me, do you know Amelia's earrings cost more than the clothes you're wearing? What can you give her to make her happy? Before I could answer, Amelia threw her glass of wine straight into her face. The birthday party instantly turned chaotic. Amid the noise, I grabbed Amelia's hand and ran. Because she had just whispered softly in my ear. Let's go. I drove my motorbike with her holding me tight from behind. The wind rushed past our ears, carrying the world's noise far away. Amelia shouted over the wind. Where are you taking me? I shouted back. Taking my Amelia to get her birthday gift. We sat together on the mountaintop, overlooking the glittering night city. Stars shimmered, city lights sparkled. I turned my head and gazed at the girl I loved so deeply. Her long eyelashes seemed to be dipped in starlight. I pulled her up gently, making sure she stood steady. Then looked at her solemnly. Knelt on one knee. And pulled out the ring I had been saving for months. She covered her mouth in disbelief. Tears welling in her eyes. I couldn't afford diamonds. Only a simple silver band. The result of half a year of odd jobs and sleepless nights. Under the starry sky, we kissed through tears. And that became one of the rare, pure moments of happiness in my life. Later, such moments would never return. I didn't know how long I'd slept. When I woke up groggy, my phone was ringing. Half asleep, I answered it. It was Amelia's voice. Still caught in the dream, I murmured softly. Wanna go stargazing? She said something I couldn't quite hear. The meds were still in effect. And I drifted back to sleep until nightfall. Hunger finally woke me. I got up to make some noodles. And there she was. Amelia was home. I glanced around, confirming no other man was in the house. She had just showered. Wearing a bathrobe. Sipping red wine on the sofa. When she saw me, her eyes flashed with something unreadable. I just smiled and headed into the kitchen. As I dropped the noodles into the pot, a pair of arms wrapped around my waist from behind. I froze mid-motion. Her voice was uncertain, soft. Why have you gotten so thin? I said nothing. She hadn't come home in so long. We hadn't held each other like this in ages. Leaning her whole body against my back, she whispered, when will you take me to see the stars? That voice. I hadn't heard it in so long. Soft, playful, almost pleading. The call hadn't been a dream after all. Because I'd said I'd take her stargazing. She'd left her little lover behind. And come home on our wedding anniversary. I didn't know if it meant she wanted to make up. I only knew I didn't want it anymore. Not her. Not the stars. I peeled her fingers off one by one. Turned around. And like I used to, gently brushed her hair back. A crooked smile on my lips. Damn, are you crazy? You actually believed that joke? The light in her eyes went out. Her beautiful peach blossom face burned with shame and rage. Say that again. I chuckled, light and careless. I can say it 100 times. I was just joking. A loud slap echoed. Her eyes reddened with fury as she hissed. Alexander, you're pathetic. I gave you face, and you didn't know how to keep it. I rubbed the cheek she'd slapped and said calmly. And you're not pathetic? One random thing I say, and you drop your little lover to run back here. Be honest, do you still love me that much? What exactly do you want? Her eyes were red, her face twisted in pain. Alexander, why is it so hard to just be good to each other? When I heard you say you'd take me to see the stars, I was happy. I've waited years for those words, so long I thought I'd never hear them again. And yet, you called me pathetic. She laughed, then cried. I clenched my fists as I watched her break down. I don't remember how long she cried. But when she finally stopped, she suddenly smiled, bright and bitter. Alexander, don't you need money? I'll give it to you. Sleep with me tonight. I'll pay you double, okay? And truthfully, I did need money. Desperately. Just then, Amelia's phone rang. She walked to the living room, put it on speaker. Charlie's voice came through. Amelia, don't you want me anymore? Why aren't you home tonight? Are you with Alexander? Amelia, come back. I was wrong. I shouldn't have said those things about Alexander today. I'll do anything you want. Please, come home. Amelia didn't answer. She just hung up. She walked back into the kitchen, looked at me coldly. Alexander, beg me. I'll transfer the money to you right away. I stirred the noodles in the pot and laughed. People with power sure do forget the past easily. Back then, I had once tried to make things right. I'd said sincerely, Amelia, let's not be like this anymore. Let's sit down and talk. No more fights. Let's just live well together. Okay? And Amelia? She only gave a cold smile. Alexander, do you really think you deserve that? She didn't even wait for my answer. She turned to leave. But I had pulled her back. Wrapped my arm tightly around her waist. Stared at her lips. Leaned in closer and closer. Close enough to smell the mint of her mouthwash. Close enough that she had closed her eyes. Amelia, do you deserve it? I've never forgotten that line. Today, I finally said it back to her, word for word. Her eyes snapped open. A moment later, she laughed mockingly. Eyes sharp as blades. Then shoved me away. She dressed quickly, slammed the door, and left. Days later, a video of Charlie's grand light show confession to Amelia exploded online. The sky glittered with lights like stars. I didn't feel much. I just didn't expect the public reaction to be so huge. That day, Amelia invited me to a party. I arrived on time, waited, but she never showed. When it was almost time to begin, I walked into the hall alone. People quieted for a moment when they saw me. I went to the buffet table, grabbed a glass of red wine, and drank slowly. A young woman approached to talk. I wasn't in the mood. Her tone was probing, fishing for information. I tried to end the conversation. But she wouldn't back off. Alexander, if you treat Amelia like this, you should just divorce her. Plenty of people would love to be with her. I looked at her, something about her face oddly familiar. I didn't respond, just turned to walk away. But she kept following. I heard you dumped Amelia for money. Then when she came back to take over the family business, you crawled back to marry her. A leech like you is disgusting. No wonder her parents opposed the marriage so fiercely. A poor man dreaming of becoming a phoenix, pathetic. I don't even know what kind of woman raised you. Her voice grew louder, drawing eyes from every corner of the hall. Dozens of stares fell on me. I finally remembered. She did look a bit like Charlie. I stopped, turned around, looked straight at her bitter, hateful face, and sneered. In public, you dare insult others like that? What kind of mother raised you? She hadn't expected me to fight back. Her face turned pale. She stammered. I'm just telling the truth. Little girl, I said. The truth is, the one who schemed to marry no matter what was Amelia. Not me. Everyone in high society knows that. Didn't Charlie tell you? She went silent. I didn't bother to say more. But suddenly she screamed. If you didn't want to marry her, then why won't you divorce her now that she has someone new? If not for the money, then for what? She hurled her wine glass at me. Security dragged her away. I stood there, soaked in alcohol. as contemptuous stares rained down from all directions. Well, of course. I just made a fool of myself in front of the elite. A sharp pain shot through my head. My vision blurred. I stumbled into the dessert table. Crashed down, cream and cake flying everywhere. For a second, everything went dark. When I came to, all I saw were cold, curious eyes. I forced a faint smile. I'm fine. The moment I said it, a bitter metallic taste flooded my mouth. I tried to hold it in, but I couldn't. Blood spilled from my lips. The crowd recoiled in shock. I wiped my mouth and said evenly, "It's fine. I'm just dying, so I spit blood sometimes." The room fell silent. Then someone muttered, "Who's he trying to fool? If he's dying, go die somewhere else." Yeah. If I was going to cough up blood, I should at least do it in front of Amelia. So she'd come back. Doing it here? Pointless. Laughter burst through the room. I laughed too. Right, look at me. Can't even bleed in the right place. Someone must have filmed the comedy show at that party. The video went viral. Amelia's and my names shot up to the hot search. Amelia's response was simple and firm. "I will not divorce Alexander. Anyone who keeps interfering in our lives will face legal action." Soon after, word spread that Charlie's little sister got a major violation in her school record. Online, the noise was deafening. Poor guy, got humiliated like that and didn't even get mad. Poor what? A freeloading loser pretending to be noble. If you want to eat soft, then behave. If you want to eat hard, Amelia will kick you out. What's wrong with Amelia? Bewitched or what? He clung to her for money from the start. Said he doesn't want to marry her anymore. Ha, acting all high and mighty. Amelia should just dump that piece of trash already. I stared at the comments. My head throbbed. Not just my head this time. My whole body hurt. I grabbed a bottle of liquor. Drank straight from it. Why did Amelia and I break up? Honestly, there was nothing dramatic about it. Back then, my mom suddenly had a stroke. Went into a coma, and was rushed to the ICU. The doctor said she'd been sick for a long time, but refused treatment because she didn't want to waste money. At the time, I was living with Amelia. She'd practically cut ties with her family. When she heard the news, she didn't hesitate. She just said she'd work part-time after class to help pay my mom's hospital bills. We worked every day after school, but no matter how hard we tried, the ICU fees were like a bottomless pit. She hid it from me. Went to work at a bar as a hostess. One night, a drunk customer tried to assault her. When I got to the police station, Amelia was wrapped in a blanket, shaking, curled up like a wounded bird. I held her tightly, and the police told me her neck and wrists were covered in bruises from being strangled. We couldn't hide it from her parents. They rushed over that very night. Her father slapped me across the face, raised his hand to hit again. But she stopped him. They would never let their precious jewel be tainted by someone like me. Not just because of pride in their circle. They knew Amelia wasn't someone meant to suffer. She was a swan, meant to be nurtured with the best, meant to soar across the wide sky. And me? I was just a muddy pond that would only drag the swan down. They took her home. The next day, they summoned me, told me to break up with her. In return, they'd cover all my mother's hospital bills. If I refused, they'd sue my mom for hiding her illness to work as a housekeeper and make her pay the contract fine. I had no choice. The next day, Amelia ran away from home to find me, hugging me so tightly as if letting go meant losing the world. I looked straight into her eyes and slowly pushed her away. "Don't touch me. You disgust me." The color drained from her face. Then, without a word, she stripped completely naked, stood there trembling, arms wrapped around her stomach, her voice shaking. "Alexander, you think I'm dirty now, don't you? You'll regret this for the rest of your life." I didn't look at her. I sat on the couch, lit a cigarette, and stared with cold mockery in my eyes. She quietly got dressed, took off the ring on her finger, and threw it at me. Then she left the country. As for me, I quit school, worked everywhere I could, just to survive. For a brief moment, my mother regained consciousness. I cried, telling her. The swan flew away. I couldn't keep her. Her mind was still blurry. But she gently stroked my hair, murmuring words I had to lean close to hear. A swan is meant to fly high, beautiful and proud. Son, don't be sad. That day, by her hospital bed, my tears poured like rain. And that was the last time I saw her awake. She passed without me knowing. When I arrived at the hospital, the tubes were already pulled. I screamed, "Who gave you the right?" Only to be met with a cold reply. Ask the higher-ups. After sobering up, the pain inside me dulled a little. I bought sugarcane, her favorite, and went to visit her grave one last time. I was dying anyway. If I didn't go now, I'd never get the chance. But before that, I had something to do. I needed to go to Amelia's company to retrieve one thing. My mother had loved Amelia deeply. The ring had been handmade by a local silversmith, meant for a proposal. When Amelia learned its story, she cherished it even more. Even when she threw it at me, I couldn't throw it away. After we got married, she found the ring again. Just gave a cold, HMPH. And took it without saying a word. My mother once said, "In our hometown, this isn't just a ring. It's a talisman. A blessing for lifelong peace." She even had Amelia's name engraved inside. But now, I thought, she doesn't need it. She doesn't deserve it. And I wasn't sure, after I die, if she'd even keep it. It was the last memory my mother left me. When I arrived at her company, luck was on my side. She wasn't in a meeting. I walked straight into her office. She was frowning, watching the video of me at the party. When she saw me, her face was like a sheet of ice. No greeting, no emotion. I asked flatly, "Where's the ring my mother left behind?" Charlie saw me walk into Amelia's office, and had the nerve to follow in behind. When he heard me mention the ring, he sneered. "Oh, that silver ring? With Amelia's name engraved inside. And those weird characters, creepy as hell." I told her to toss it. But she wouldn't. Said if I liked it, I could have it. But come on, man. What do I need a silver ring for? If I want anything, Amelia buys it for me. At that moment, my blood boiled. I glared at Amelia. "Where's the ring? That was my mother's. It's not something people like you get to despise." She saw me losing control but only laughed. "Oh, the silver ring? Right. I gave it to Charlie." Charlie chimed in smugly. "Even silver can be melted down." I had it melted and made into a cute little pendant. Amelia even said I was talented. Before he could finish, I slammed my fist into his face with everything I had. He didn't see it coming. My punch landed square on his cheek. Second punch, third punch. All I heard was Amelia screaming, "Stop it, Alexander, stop." I didn't stop. Charlie fought back, dodging, then punched me hard in the face. My face swelled instantly. That familiar metallic taste filled my mouth. I spat blood. He raised his fist again. Amelia yelled at him to stop. He backed off, still furious. "Goddamn psycho. You beat me up over a trashy ring?" He turned, grabbed a chain from the shelf, and threw it at me. "Here, take your junk. Who the hell would want it? Why are you still here? Haven't you humiliated Amelia enough?" I bent down and picked up the pendant. A cartoon cat stared back at me. The old, sacred ring, gone. They didn't know. Those strange engravings were my name. My mother had them carved to bless me. A life of peace and safety. But now, it was all gone. "Mom? Would you blame me? I couldn't even protect the last thing you left me." My head throbbed. My chest tightened. I saw Charlie's mocking eyes. My blood boiled. I grabbed the desk calendar and hurled it at him. "You're the trash, not the ring." The calendar hit his forehead. Blood gushed instantly. I reached for another object to throw. But Amelia grabbed my arm. I looked at her. The woman who once was my everything. In her eyes, there was anger, doubt, irritation, but no love. Blood filled my mouth again. I stared at her. "I'm dying. You can't even grant me my last wish?" "Amelia, I owe you nothing." She wiped the blood from my lips, her voice trembling with disbelief. "First the stars, now death? Alexander, is lying to me that fun?" "Yeah, you're right. You never owed me anything. In your eyes, I'm just the shameless one who threw myself at you." You don't have to act like this. Even if you don't, I'd never lower myself for you again. She hadn't finished her sentence when I bent over, vomiting blood. Before I blacked out, I heard her terrified scream. I vaguely heard Amelia crying. Don't scare me. Alexander, what's wrong with you? There's so much blood. I'm scared of blood. Please stop. I smelled disinfectant. Heard a doctor speaking to Amelia. He may not make it through this winter. I already suggested that special treatment. He agreed, but never paid. Now, all you can do is stay with him for whatever time he has left. Amelia's voice changed completely. He's really dying? No, I don't believe it. Call your hospital director here. Now. I could hear people constantly coming in and out of the ward. Whispering, gossiping, sometimes mixed with her cries and screams. She sat beside my bed, grabbed my hand, pressed it against her face, and murmured something I couldn't make out. But most of the time, she was yelling at everyone. Cursing the doctors for being useless. Cursing me for lying to her. Cursing me for not telling her sooner. The nurses whispered while changing my bandages. President Amelia seems to be emotionally unstable. Then Peter, my brother-in-arms from the auto repair shop, showed up with my will in hand. I'd entrusted everything to him. The moment I found out I had a terminal illness, I'd told him, if one day I end up like a vegetable, help me end it quickly. Let me reincarnate and start over. Seeing me like this, Peter mentioned pulling the tube, because it was my wish. Amelia instantly lost it. Who dares touch him? You wanna die? Peter snapped too. Ms. Amelia, Alexander doesn't have much time left. What's the point of this chaos? Who are you putting on this show for? When he was still healthy. You know exactly how you treated him. Now it's too late. Please, let him go in peace. Get out. I'm his wife. Whether he stays alive or not, I decide. Amelia screamed almost hysterically. Peter pulled out the will. Black and white, notarized. She froze. Then burst into tears, sobbing. Don't give up. He still has a chance. Let's try one more time, please. Peter sighed heavily, sat down, and told her everything about my past. I couldn't open my eyes. But I thought, Peter, you idiot. Why talk about all that now? What good will it do? I didn't want to die yet. I hadn't visited Mom. I still had one last thing to do. I knew Peter came because of that too. Before leaving this world, I had to see my mother again. Otherwise, when I was gone, she'd keep searching for me. And she'd be heartbroken. I fought, struggled, forcing my eyes open, until the ceiling light came into view. Amelia gasped in joy. You're awake. After waking up, I told her to leave. I didn't want to see her. Only Peter was allowed to look after me. Amelia wasn't allowed near. But she hired a private nurse to take care of me. Of course she did. It was too hard for a guy like Peter to take care of me alone. That day, after giving Peter a few instructions, I sent him home. The nurse went to fetch water. Suddenly, I felt the urge to pee. So I forced myself off the bed and slowly walked toward the bathroom. I was still fine, at first. The moment I stood up, a wave of dizziness hit me. I staggered, slamming hard against the sink. My forehead cracked open, warm blood dripping down my face. I looked up at the mirror. I seemed even thinner than before. Blood slid down my sharp, hollow cheeks. A terrifying sight. Amelia rushed in, wrapped her arms tightly around me and screamed. Where the hell is the nurse? How can no one watch him when he goes to the bathroom? She held me in her arms. I wasn't even wearing pants. The scene, honestly, just thinking about it made me want to disappear. I frowned. Enough, stop yelling. She went to get water. I just really needed to pee. Seeing I was upset, Amelia fell silent. She quietly helped me pull my pants back on, guided me back to bed. And after a while, she spoke softly, almost pleading. Let me take care of you, please? I snapped back coldly. I don't need you. If you're so free, go be with your little lover. Her face stiffened. She pressed her lips together, saying nothing. She gently wiped the blood from my forehead, then suddenly threw the towel aside and threw herself into my arms. I'm a patient. That sudden movement nearly sent me flying backward. Thankfully, I caught her in time. In my arms, she burst into tears. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Why are you always so stubborn? You're killing yourself. Do you even know that? I let her cry. My voice was cold enough to freeze the air. Because I wanted to make you pay. Looks like it's working. Ever since my mom died, I'd thought about it. If I ever saw her again, how would I make her hurt the way I did? I had nothing left but the sliver of love she still had for me. And my death would be the cruelest revenge. What you want, you'll never have again. Nothing can be undone anymore. Amelia slowly pulled away, staring at me like I was on trial. She raised her hand to slap me, then let it fall, trembling. Alexander? You're just clinging to the fact that I once loved you? Her voice broke. She's the one who signed the papers to pull my mother's breathing tube. She was once a swan, soaring into a wider sky. But in that world, she learned how cold and selfish people could be. When she came to me asking for marriage, I honestly wondered, was it because she wanted to prove she hadn't lost? Or because she still had feelings for me? The truth is, I never tried to hide my illness. My medical records and x-rays were lying right there in the living room. She brought another man home, got intimate right in front of me, and never cared. I lay under the blanket, listening to their laughter and moans, my whole body trembling from pain. Later, when she had Charlie, she stopped coming home altogether. So of course, she never saw me vomit blood and pass out. Never saw me crawling on the floor, barely breathing, calling Peter for help. Amelia silently helped me back to bed. She stared at me for a long time. I didn't look at her. I just closed my eyes. A single warm tear fell onto my face. Alexander? Please, don't die? But I couldn't grant that wish. I really was dying. Lately, I'd been awake less and less. But strangely, my mind was clearer than ever. I guess that's what they call the final flare. I was planning for Peter to take me to my mother's grave. But then, an uninvited guest appeared. Charlie fell to his knees, clutching my blanket, crying, Alexander, please. Tell Amelia not to abort the baby. She'll only listen to you. He said Amelia was 3 months pregnant. I let out a bitter laugh. So, Amelia cried for me, then went and slept with her boy toy. Amelia walked in right then. She swung her hand and slapped Charlie. What crap did you just tell Alexander? Charlie clutched his face, furious. Did I lie? Amelia, you're heartless. For a dying man like him. Is it worth it? Smack. She slapped him again. Then kicked him. And again. I told you. If you ever touch my husband, I'll kill you. Enough. I was exhausted. I didn't want to get tangled in this mess anymore. Both of you? Get out. I want to sleep. I didn't care about anything else. All I could think about was seeing my mom. On a sunny day, Peter took me to her grave. I buried my silver necklace beside the tomb. Bowed 3 times, my forehead hitting the ground hard. I sat there for a long time. So long Peter thought I'd died. He gently shook me, confirmed I was still breathing, and stepped aside to give me space. In my heart, I whispered, Mom, I'm leaving now. See you in the next life. Then I stood up, dusted myself off, and walked with Peter to the end of my road. We went up the mountain. It was already night. The city sparkled beneath us. A sea of lights. The sky was heavy with clouds. No stars tonight. Not far away was a newly built house. Peter helped me push open the door. It was just how I liked it. Warm, simple, elegant. I hugged Peter tightly. Thanked him for everything. I handed him a card. Told him my savings were inside. For the child. Even a fool like Peter knew what was happening. At first, he refused to take it. But I stopped him with one line. Do you want me to die without peace? He broke down, sobbing. I couldn't bring myself to comfort him. I was scared too. Scared of dying. But there was no way back anymore. Once, I told the girl I loved most. One day, our family will live here. You'll get to look at the stars every night. I was wrong. There aren't stars every night. I lay down on the couch, looked up through the skylight, and slowly closed my eyes. If only I had never met you.